Alright, hey guys, and welcome to my review of the Halo TV series. Now, this was something I did not expect myself to be watching, but I did get caught up in a bit of boredom, and I heard that Pablo Schreiber, I hope I didn't butcher that name, is acting as Master Chief, and I was super excited because, I have, seen some things about this guy, and I know how buff he put himself, like how much he built himself up for this role, and I heard about it, and I was like, okay, let's just see if the effort that they put together pays off. And well, I must say that this TV series was absolutely horrible, but nonetheless, it was still enjoyable. It had all of the elements of a decent TV series, like a decent, simple TV series in its core, but it just had the skin of Halo around it. And I felt that that was where the crime really was, like they had a lot of great scenes in the first episode, perhaps the first two even, where they did some world building. They try to bring in characters into the story. They try to show how, the Spartans and Master Chief are all just these terrifying warlords who fight for the human race to take down the enemies. And the very last, like the season finale had a great fight sequence, and whatever. CGI is questionable, but I felt that there were more fight should there should have been more fights peppered throughout the series, considering how the video game is, right? I get it. In a series, you can't have the characters fighting all the time, because if that were, you want to be more realistic about it, um, they wouldn't be fighting all the time, right? The war doesn't happen every single week or day or whatever. But if you think about the way the story goes on in the video game, it doesn't have to be that logical. It's just obvious that you don't have the budget to create the fight sequences in every other episode, and I think that's really the problem in the story. Also, the decision to reveal Master Chief's face in the very first episode, I don't know. I felt really strange about it. Like, I don't think he needs to reveal his helmet just to earn the trust of the girl who really can't harm him in any way. Like, I'm sure that this was the girl, and I felt she was absolutely useless throughout this series. She didn't bring any, important storyline to the table. She did not help Master Chief in any way. Towards the end of the story, she did not really drive the story forward. She did not really impact the story in any way. She doesn't affect the good guys, the bad guys, anything like that. She was absolutely useless to the plot, and she had, I think, about 3 or 4 episodes mostly for herself. So, really a wasted character. Could have had so much more potential. I'm sure she's a great actress, but the writing for her was absolutely horrible. And all the world building around even this guy was just like he started off to be the core part of the world building very early on in episode 2, but he really just became a character that was just kind of boring and painful to watch, because he didn't have anything to back him up, besides the fact that, yeah, it's just this badass who's illegal badass, who's a smuggler, who's living in this world, who used to be a Spartan, who's now just an ordinary guy who's just enjoying life and whatever. He's still good, he still has all his skills, but and he says he has to spend time with the other girls who doesn't really matter. And there's this whole story about um, you know these people who come to take over a certain town in a certain world and whatever. I felt that all these side stories, without Master Chief being there, really felt super boring, and it didn't really impact the overall story, as I'm saying, because Master Chief's story was completely disconnected from these people, right? 117, John 117, basically, his story was more so all about him, the relic which activates the Halo, the Doctor who is controlling him. What's her name? Cortana, who is inside his head, and also this the other, what do you call this? Like, chosen one, Makee. Right, Makee, who's basically someone who was abducted by the aliens very early on, and she has to come back to sort of redeem herself. And even Makee has a horrible storyline. She comes in, very easily falls for Master Chief, just because of his master good looks. I don't really know, like, how all those years of indoctrination just fails in an instant. Like, for Master Chief, it was very, very specific, very special. He had to go through a specific sequence that made him change his character and his personality, and I think that was very well done. But for McKee, it was just not very well done. She was straight up going to kill Master Chief when she first met him. I think that was the story, and then all of a sudden she changes. I think Kai 125 had an even better story, who's another Spartan who witnesses Master Chief removing this implant at the back of her body, his body, and she does the same at the back of her body, and that implant basically inhibits them from expressing emotions. And so once that implant is removed, she actually goes through a tough time trying to adjust her body to her emotions, and is unable to participate well in combat, but eventually gets learns to control her emotions and turns out to be a useful asset and still a valuable Spartan. And yeah, Kai's story and Master Chief's story are probably the best in this entire series, and that goes well along with Cortana's story. And Cortana is voiced by Jen Taylor, but Cortana is actually a replica of Dr. Catherine Halsey, who creates a clone of herself and installs like this knowledge of the universe, sort of like I don't know, Microsoft Encarta or Wikipedia or something, and puts it inside the brain of her clone, and then sort of harvests that knowledge and puts it into an AI, and that AI is Cortana, and that AI goes into Master Chief to try to create the ultimate soldier. But she doesn't allow Cortana to get full control of Master Chief because for some reason, when Cortana is in control, Master Chief is unable to access the relic, which activates the Halo. I hope I said that all in the right sequence. So, yeah, so she keeps Cortana in Master Chief, but not able to control him fully. The only thing Cortana can do is knock Master Chief out on command, and Dr. Catherine uses this to her advantage at times to try to subdue Master Chief if he's starting to show any signs of extremism, because he gets emotional now because his emotional inhibitor is removed, and he has his own sort of motives he wants to discover about himself. He feels that Dr. Catherine has lied to everyone because they were abducted as children to create the Spartan program. And quite frankly, I'm surprised that Master Chief is surprised. Considering all the stuff that Master Chief has done in his life, I'm sure, you know, it wouldn't come too much as a surprise to know the fact that you have been abducted as a child to turn into, this kind of a program. I don't think it's that surprising, honestly. I think considering all the things that the Spartans can do, I'm sure he already realizes that surely someone had to be experimented on, right? Someone had to go through human trials to create the monster that Master Chief is. And yeah, so that alone took like 3 to 4 episodes, actually, almost, just Master Chief discovering himself. But his relationship with Cortana, I felt, was very well done. The way Cortana sort of develops a sweet spot for him and realizes that Master Chief may actually be a better hope for humanity than Dr. Catherine, and Cortana abandons Dr. Catherine towards the very end to help Master Chief. And yeah, eventually there's a very climatic battle in the finale, which absolutely butchered the budget because I think that the CGI was absolutely horrible. It was just unfortunate, but it did look better than Halo 3. All right, let me put it that way. It looked better than Halo 3, the video game. That's it. That's what it looked better than. The rest of the CGI, let's not question it, was absolutely horrible. But if we focus on the story itself, Master Chief just does give up and get knocked down because he realizes that he will not be able to defeat, I don't know, like a few hundred enemy soldiers. So he lets Cortana take over his brain. And when Cortana does that, because they don't have Dr. Catherine to control, his, I guess, cerebral, system or whatever, Cortana can only do it as a one-off, which means once she takes over Master Chief, Master Chief's mind is no more, or rather, is locked away deep down inside Cortana, and she can't really bring him back. So the story ends with Master Chief completely being controlled by Cortana, and is able to win the war, able to save the Spartans around them, which is Riz 28, Kai 125, and Vanek 134. And they all get out safely. I felt the stakes towards that end was not very well done. They could have killed off a few more characters, perhaps, considering it was an all-out battle. But Spartans in this are really overpowered. They can straight up come down in their helmets and suits, just crashing from the sky, and they are absolutely unharmed because of their the armor that they possess. But yeah, pretty impressive nonetheless. I think in terms of the action and the story, I think I get it. You want to show them like they're really strong, but it also felt like it was just done because it's low budget. They don't have enough people to sort of buffer the cast, I would suppose. And Dr. Miranda is just this sort of young girl who's trying to replace Dr. Catherine, and she's always suppressed because she's the junior. But to be fair, she's nowhere near as intelligent or as capable as Dr. Catherine. So the whole sort of I should be given a chance to be in the limelight as well is questionable because Dr. Catherine is just clearly still the better candidate. And then all of a sudden shutting off Dr. Catherine because they feel that she's too dangerous and she's too ruthless, like after all the years that she served, just seems a little, I don't know, strange. But at the same time, I think it was a fair decision because towards the very end, they do have a good plot twist, which is they do finally try to catch up to Dr. Catherine as she escapes to another planet and they arrest her, only to realize that they've arrested a clone and the real Dr. Catherine is still out there somewhere. So I think that was very well done. Very, I mean, sort of expected, predicted, but nonetheless exactly what we want, you know, because if she did actually get captured, then we'll be like, but obviously she can make clones. Couldn't she have escaped? You see, that's where the intelligence is. The story knows that Dr. Catherine has this ability, and so they decide to, leave a clone behind and say that Dr. Catherine is still out there. So I think the intelligence involved in the storytelling was, I mean, or rather the sort of the twists and turns, I think were well done. But the base storytelling, the dialogues, all were just really, really sad and low. While Master Chief delivers a lot of his expressions by just staring and looking around and just staring basically, I think he carries that stare really, really well. Like throughout the story, I think the actor did a great job of just being this sort of very calm, serious, stoic character who's also still able to deliver these fantastic micro expressions. And I think it, really pays off the fact that they made him remove the helmet to be able to deliver those micro expressions. And yeah, they didn't fall off to the decision that Mandalorian made, which is he keeps his helmet all the way up to the end of a few seasons. I think it's fair. I think both of them have made their own respectable decisions on mask helmet on or off. I think it is a challenge to decide because you're going to get some backlash. But I think in this case it really paid off because I think Master Chief without the helmet was able to deliver a lot more expression and still be serious all at once and still be that menacing, sort of serious character who there's a reason why he's Master Chief, but at the same time, you're able to feel for him better, you're able to understand him better, and I think that was very well done. And so, yeah, that was pretty cool. The Admiral Margaret, I felt her character was meh. Like, sure, she gets some good lines to deliver, but I don't know, meh. I guess I'm not, nothing too exciting about her. And at the same time, let's see, any other actors that was pretty cool. I think no one else really. I think it's mainly Kai 125 Master Chief. These two did the best jobs. And while Miranda Keys had some great scenes, Dr. Catherine Halsey, of course, had much more screen time, much better dialogues, much better role because she's just like probably the most intelligent, most terrifying character in this entire series. Like just like the final boss sort of villain character, I would say that we didn't fully get to defeat because we always feel like she's two steps ahead, and I like that sort of the sort of a story. Anyway, I think if you ask me, is it good? No. Is it worth a watch? No. Should I watch it? No. But still, I feel that it sort of brings me back some really nice nostalgic memories. So I'm going to give it a 3 out of 10 and tell you that if you really have nothing else to watch and you really, like it's not about being a fan of Halo specifically, right? If you just want a sci-fi series to watch to burn your time, I think this is it. It's gonna be okay. It's gonna fill your time a little bit. There are some cool scenes inside there that involve Master Chief with the Halo and some cool dialogues, some interesting tension, some great fight scenes. But I think all of that can be condensed down to about 3 good episodes out of the total 9 episodes in this series. So as a result, I think I'm going to give it a 3 out of 10 because that's just how many good episodes there are. And my points mainly go to the fact that I think the decision to remove the helmet, including the actor's expressions and the delivery of his dialogues in particular, together with a few other characters and their side stories, I think was well done. The core of the sci-fi aspect of it and the world building was not good enough. So I'm going to remove all points for that because it's nothing really new. Like all of this has been done before. So I wish they would have brought something more interesting or more heavy into the story to give us something to think about, something to discuss. But they didn't really do it. Like the whole point of science fiction is that you got to have science, right, in your fiction, and there wasn't really much science for us to play around with. And the adventure was super boring. Basically, Master Chief just going to his childhood home, discovering that Dr. Halsey is like some this big fraud and whatever. So there's that intensity. So there are some cool scenes with the flashbacks of you trying to know what the story is, but it's too predictable. Like yes, she kidnapped him. So what? Like that's it. That's the story. Like it doesn't go anywhere from there. There's no even further tragic story that she actually meant some good intention, which was overshadowed by someone else. None of that side plots or whatever. They just made it very straightforward for us. And the action really came down to two major episodes. I think it was episode one, and the last episode, episode nine. Is these two that really were action driven. The rest of it is just very subpar. There is action peppered in between, but it's nothing really great. I think there's one good episode, episode 7 or 8, I think in particular, where um, they have to like Master Chief has to actually duel the other Spartans without his armor. And I have no idea how he survives that fight, but I think it was still well choreographed in the sense where the fight was nice to watch, but I think it was pretty clear that the other Spartans were holding back, even though they were given direct orders. They were really really holding back because it's Master Chief, and yeah, so it's understandable, but in a real situation, real scenario, if the soldier is given an order to kill his commanding officer, I mean, it's hard to say that there is a chance for the commanding officer. But nonetheless, I think, I mean, in a real life scenario, human beings would be able to have that sort of empathy. But in this story, the whole point is the fact that the Spartans don't show that same empathy because they have these emotional inhibitors inside their bodies. And so, they sort of dragged that on a little too long, I think, before Kai 125 actually shows up to save him. But yeah, they could have sort of made that a little bit more tight knit in the sense where they almost get to him, but Kai makes it in time, or something like that, just to make it a bit more, like intense or something like that. But anyway, nonetheless, I enjoyed this series. I know I'm giving it a 3 out of 10, but I personally enjoyed it, and I know it's a horrible TV series, absolute poor use of budget, really low budget as you can tell. I would have really wished for this to be a movie, perhaps with a better budget, a better score and those sorts of things. But I think the score in the series was great. The opening score, great. The score throughout the film, not so great. The score during the suit ups, during the preparation to battle, is great. And the final score during the final fight was actually pretty decent. But throughout the rest of the film, I don't think there were very good music and whatnot. But I was always excited to load up another episode and just wait through the opening scene because the opening credits and whatever have this amazing score that's sort of a fusion with the original Halo theme. So it's pretty well done. And we do get the Halo theme popping up, especially in the first and last episode, and I think once or twice in between, whenever the Halo gets turned on. And yeah, those were super cool. Um, Very nostalgic, and I did get the goosebumps, but that's it. It's just like these 2 or 3 moments where you do get goosebumps, and the rest of it is just absolute crap. So yeah, I wish they don't continue this just because they're butchering the actual enjoyable story, which is already there in the video games, who clearly have better story, better cutscenes, better action, and you actually get to participate as Master Chief because it's a video game. Uh, but yeah, I wish that they probably should have leaned in a bit more on the game's story. Um, and quite frankly, even if they remade the entire thing, I don't think it would have been late rated this low. But looking at the audience score, it looks like a lot of people did enjoy it. 7.0 with almost 50K views means that a lot of people did enjoy this, and I'm glad they did because I think it's still fun in its own right, but it doesn't do justice to Halo or the title of Halo in any way. So yeah, nice try Paramount, but perhaps Netflix should have taken this. I think they would have done a much better job. Would have been a lot more awesome, and yeah, I can't wait to see if there is hope or potential. But even if they drop this, I'll be absolutely fine with it. So that's it from me for this. I'll see you guys the next one. Take care.